Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. I have no clue. Well, I do have a clue. My computer ran these updates, and I have to make sure that the computer doesn't. Well, of course, it's not. My computer's probably not going to work right now, but I really apologize to everyone who has been here for like 20 minutes. Let's see if it's still if this is even working. I just apologize. Um My computer started running these updates right after I set up the live stream, and I still can't see. I'm just hoping that it works. I'm hoping that you can. But I just want to thank you very, very much for tuning in. Hopefully, you can hear me. It's working. Good. Good. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about. And I apologize again for my computer issues. This is a new computer. And I have to just right after this live stream, I am going to, what is this? I just went on the internet. How to prevent updates. So I'm just gonna, because the updates, it's like Satan messing with your computer. There's nothing good. There's nothing good that happens from these updates. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nothing is good. It's like a Broward County recount. Nothing good happens. Speaking of Broward County recounts, they finally decided to recount, which is really fantastic. Very nice of them. I'm going to read you this. I'll read it to you on my phone since who knows, my computer is very delicate and it might just decide not to work. Just a side note. I don't know if you knew this, but this is Florida today. This is an unbelievable revelation. And you have Miami-Dade almost done with its recount. You have Broward County just starting. Bill Nelson is suing because he wants more time. Oh, so edgy. Who do you think the Dems will run in 2020? Very likely, very, very likely Hillary Clinton. I think Hillary Clinton will run, even if she's indicted. It really doesn't matter. Either that or somebody like Beto, somebody that isn't known. They'll try to probably find either somebody that's completely new that they could say is the next Messiah, or Hilton. So it'll be one or the other, somebody completely new, but I don't think it'll be Kamala Harris. I don't think it'll be Joe Biden. I don't know. I just get that. I don't know. I just, that's what I think. But I mean, it's like my mind's in a blur right now. Oh, so edgy. Thank you so very, very much. They allowed people to vote by email, which is against state law. This is really, really interesting. So they're like 150 displaced people by Hurricane Michael, vote by email. This hurts both candidates. But the interesting thing is Florida recount email voting in Bay, those boxes in Broward, and a big mess in Palm Beach. This was hours ago. Dubbed by some the nightmare in Florida too. Floridians still aren't sure who will win the race for U.S. Senate. It looks like Rick Scott, but I'm not going to. I hope Statewide recounts have been ordered for the Senate, Governor, and Agricultural Commission races. Governors Rick Scott and Bill Nelson each filed lawsuits in Florida Senate race, with Scott asking the state's top law enforcement official to investigate election operations in Broward and Palm Beach counties. Nelson had also filed a lawsuit asking that the deadline for local election officials to file preliminary unofficial vote totals to the state to be extended. So Nelson wants an extension. It's supposed to be Thursday is the deadline. Broward County needs to recount 700,000 ballots, and Palm Beach County needs to recount about 600,000. Now, how is that possible? How is it possible that recounts always help Democrats? How is it possible that you had Broward County sued, by the way, by Tim Canova? Broward County was sued by Tim Canova. And the judge found that the Broward County official, Dr. Snipes, was said to have illegally destroyed ballots. Then you had voting machines that didn't work. Then you had a whole bunch of problems, just a whole bunch of problems. And it's just unbelievable. It's really, really just unbelievable how it's just always, the recounts just always help Democrats. And if you found the recount helping Republicans, they would cry foul. So they don't care. That's the thing. This is what Trump has to realize, and what Republicans or conservatives have to realize. There is no set boundaries. There's no agreed upon principles. They're not into fair play. So when Kavanaugh had his 7th FBI investigation, they hated the FBI because, oh my God, you didn't investigate a non-crime that perhaps took place 40 years ago. Or a crime that took place, I should say, possibly 40 years ago in a location in a galaxy far, far away we don't know. So they wanted people to investigate, they wanted the FBI to investigate gossip. Then they wanted the FBI to investigate Trump-Russia collusion, or Mueller to investigate Trump-Russia collusion. No evidence. No evidence with Kavanaugh, no evidence with Trump-Russia. You do have Brenda Snipes in Broward County. You do have a judge saying that she illegally destroyed ballots in the past. You do have malfunctioning voting machines. You do have ballots and ballot boxes showing up everywhere. But that's not enough evidence. See, again, what Democrats want ironclad proof. I didn't. My Hillary Bernie 2020 video is still up. Let me see. Better not be deleted. They want ironclad proof. So, Johnny 5, Florida Department of Agro issues and grants concealed carry permits. The projected winners and anti-second. That's what this is all about. Wow. Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, it's really unbelievable how, so they care, they want ironclad proof. They want the FBI, they revere the FBI when it's about the Steele dossier and Strzok and McCabe and Comey. But then they hate the FBI when the FBI says that, oh, by the way, we found Weiner classified emails on Weiner's laptop. Then they love the FBI again. When James Comey is is fired, and he is said to just find some kind of new kind of evidence against Trump regarding collusion. Of course, the feed is frozen, but okay, now it's better. Now it's not better. I apologize. So there's no agreed upon standard, and they would, if the tables were turned, say, "Oh my God, you're trying to grasp victory from the jaws of defeat. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you say, "Oh, um, let's recount if Gillum or Nelson were to win." Then if there was a county, let's say in northern Florida, or in the Panhandle, or someplace where Rick Scott would gain votes, they would say, "Oh, you're doing this to steal the election." Just like they said Russia stole the election with Facebook ads. There's no sense of decency. That's why Trump needs to act quickly. That's why Trump needs to act quickly. He can't um he can't play Mr. Nice Guy anymore. Democrats cheat all the time. They cheated Bernie Sanders. And Bernie the heck out of Rick Scott for what he's doing. He's fighting. He's fighting back. Greg H., I'll do it. If you dare say a disparaging word about Deborah Wasserman Schultz, you'll have me to contend with. Rick Scott has habitually, consistently sided with Trump, and he's trying to steal an election. We know that Deborah Wasserman would never, ever cheat. Not even a fly. Deborah Wasserman wouldn't even cheat a fly. I guess I'll do my Bernie a little later also. But Roosevelt Media, thank you. KKU, thank you. Yeah, I mean, Alexander, I found the my Hillary and Bernie 2020 video. It's still up if you look. So they let people vote by email. There are all these different. The interesting thing is they hide behind incompetence, and they don't care about winning. They don't care about like a standard or some kind of agreed upon value system. They hide behind incompetence. So they're within hours of a Broward County recount, one of the voting machines wasn't working. Then you have these ballot boxes that double as office supply equipment. Is that even normal? Does anyone on the planet do that? Johnny Five, thank you. I think that's definitely Brick Dictator. Thank you. Find out for Bernie's voice. Thank you, Brick Dictator. Thank you so very, very much. And it's just unbelievable. So, and Bill Nelson wants an extension. So that's another thing. Bill Nelson has a lawsuit now to extend. So they might actually extend. They might actually extend the lawsuit, the recount. Now, 57,000 votes. Now he's still up. But I keep on saying Rick Nelson. Rick Scott is flying to D.C., or there were reports saying he's flying to D.C., which is hilarious because he is actually the rightful senator elect. But Bill Nelson and Rick Scott are now it's just a matter of Rick Scott saying, you know what, I am the winner, so I'm just going to fly there and attend the functions of the newly elected senators. This is a week election day, by the way. A week after election day. So there's Tampa Bay Times. Let me find this. Mishaps, protests, and litigation over Florida recount. It's obvious. It's obvious that the Florida recount is meant to benefit Democrats. And I guess in my long-winded attempt, what I'm trying to say is, JB and Walter, hello. What I'm trying to say is, when Bernie Sanders was being cheated and I was on the left and I was like a little like pariah on the left, people would always say, we knew that he was being cheated. So when I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, I'm no longer. I'm a Trump supporter. When I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, we knew he was being cheated. Lyle Bud, God bless Matthew Whitaker. Please take her down. Lyle Bud, amen. God bless Matthew Whitaker. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Lyle Bud. Thank you. But what they do is they say, well, you don't have any evidence. What about all the smoke that's leading to fire? You don't have any evidence. There's no evidence. What about the voting machine that's not working? That's not Dr. Snipes' fault. What about all the ballot boxes that have been found throughout Miami? Well, you don't know who put them there. But with Trump, there's no evidence of not even any evidence that could correlate to Trump-Russia collusion. They just like Manafort bought an ostrich feather jacket. You see Trump-Russia collusion. That is enough of a correlation for them to justify a 2-year probe with no evidence. But it's not enough to have a judge say that Dr. Snipes at Broward County just illegally destroyed ballots and that the DNC already cheated Bernie Sanders. And that the DNC and Broward County are known to cheat. That's not enough. That's not enough. So Democrats, they investigate whatever they want to investigate. They cover up whatever they want to cover up. They hide behind lack of evidence. Then they say, well, there's no evidence. They fabricate evidence when they need to with the Steele dossier. They instead of saying, well, there's no evidence of a time and a location, you say, well, credible witness. And they're all over the place. For truth, hello. They're all over the place. So let me read you this. Mishaps, protests, and litigation overshadow Florida recount. The state's law enforcement arm and elections monitors have found no evidence of wrongdoing. That's because they're all part of the cheating. Just ask Tim Canova. Just ask Bernie Sanders. You don't need to ask me. They never cheated me. Everything was my fault. I had the audacity to point, to yell, and in retrospect, I believe that I was tone deaf. And so what they did to me and my supporters, let me be the first person to say, we deserved it. Oh, Tom Collin. All of them. I mean, Sam Kinison, there's so many great ones. I like when he talks about his ex-girlfriends. There's one Sam Kinison routine where he he said his girlfriend planted a gun in his luggage. And so in the airport they security is like eventually finds out. It's so hilarious the way he says it. There's so many great thank you, Inga, thank you, Paul, thank you, everyone. There's so many great Sam Kinison bits. It's just so awesome. He's just amazing. Nowadays you can't have like comedy. You can't have really amazing comedy anymore. You can't have movies that are, Every remake has to be done through the DNC police, thought police. It's like, you know, I'm not even going to get into it. An honest vote count is no longer possible in Florida. I agree with that. How? I mean, what are you going to like? What happens if Bill Nelson is declared winner? Could you imagine? Could you imagine right now with Rick Scott winning? That I believe that you have a three GOP senator lead. Okay, don't quote me on that, although I do believe that's the case. But you know, it's just they are absolutely ruthless. And I thought that would be enough to kind of wake people up, but the media is all in. The media is more powerful than I thought it was. And this is the thing, I'm defending Republicans because they're less corrupt. And I mean, if I see Republican corruption, I won't defend it if I see corruption within the Trump administration. But tell me, I mean, I don't know what the corruption would be. He didn't work with Russia. So, I mean, if he worked with Russia, I wouldn't support Trump. There's no evidence, and he didn't. Hillary Clinton purchased the Steele dossier, which is a pile of nonsense. When you make claims and you publish them and they're nonsense, that's called defamation. It's called libel. Paul Wolfe. I think he's wonderful. I have nothing but great things to say. Paul, I have nothing but great things to say. I consider him a really wonderful person. So I have absolutely nothing but, great things to say. But yes, no, I do agree that there's corruption on both sides. But see, I can't stand Paul Ryan. I can't stand Jeff Flake. The reason that I side towards conservatives is because of Trump, really, because of Trump, and because in terms of value system, my value system, like the Senate, for example, I'm a very big Second Amendment advocate. But I mean, what you have here is you have an overt attempt at stealing an election. DeSantis is up by tens of thousands of votes. That recount, that ridiculous recount, if you're up by 57,000 votes, that should be enough. It was like 0.5%, something like that. No, they should change that law because then you'll have they're always close in Florida. And you have to have monitors. SD, that's my usual state. That's pretty much my usual state. But let's go ahead and read this. So, okay, so Florida recount. This is Florida today. Florida recount voting in Bay. Those boxes in Broward and a big mess in Palm Beach. Dubbed by some as the nightmare in Florida 2, Floridians still aren't sure who will win the races for U.S. Senate, Governor, and Agricultural Commissioner. Almost a week after Election Day, these races have sparked similarities to the Florida election recount of 2000 with George W. Bush and Al Gore. The highlights: statewide recounts have been ordered for the Senate, Governor, and agricultural races. Governors Rick Scott and Senator Bill Nelson each filed lawsuits in the Florida Senate race, with Scott asking the state's top law enforcement agency to investigate election operations. That's another thing. They hide by corrupt investigations and say, well, we found nothing. So James Comey never really investigated Hillary Clinton. It was a cover-up that masked as an investigation where he said, well, we looked at it, but thank you, Luke St. Martin. Thank you. Well, we covered it up, but we looked at it, but you know what? She didn't intentionally commit the crime, so we're just gonna. That's it. We covered it up fair and square. Nelson had also filed a lawsuit asking that the deadline for local election officials to file preliminary and official totals to the state be extended. So Bill Nelson wants this madness to continue. Obviously, Broward County needs to recount 700,000 ballots. I don't trust Broward County. I don't trust them. So like the UN should come in and recount. Somebody needs to come in, the federal government. You're asking Broward County you're giving them another opportunity to cheat. Christopher, you're right. Considering historical trends, GOP actually did pretty well this midterm. Yeah, they did. They did. But I really underestimated. I was right about the Senate, obviously wrong about the House. And one of my buddies was like, well, Nate Silver and 538 were right. I'm like, no, about a day before, the 538 was like, well, anything could happen. They're like, anything can happen. Meanwhile, I'm all in. And I'm like, no. So everyone was hedging their bet right before. And now they're, dancing in the streets. But we still have the Senate. Even if Rick Scott loses, which I don't think he will, we still have the Senate. Christopher, yes, Christopher, you're 100% right. Thank you, Christopher. Christopher, thank you. Thank you as always. Thank you for your support as always, Christopher. The Senate votes are counted first, followed by the governor's race and the commissioner of election race before the local race is tabulated. Below is the latest news on the recount for Rick Scott. Monday updates. Okay, so more than 150 displaced people. Hurricane Michael voted by email. That should never have taken place. Partisans sling unfounded claims. Oh my God, unfounded. Republicans, including Governor Rick Scott, who is narrowly leading Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson, claim there's already proof of impropriety in vote counts. So where are the unfounded Russian hacking claims? We're just gonna trust CrowdStrike? Is that how it works? Where are the unfounded? Michael, thank you, Michael. Yeah, I mean, there are even House races that like a week later, they're still counting votes. Isn't that interesting? I just don't know if a late vote count. I just don't know of a contest with all the votes counted after the election that helped a Republican this midterm. Isn't that interesting? Bizarre. Democrats have accused Scott and others of trying to prevent legitimate ballots from being counted. No, they just don't want. They just don't want another fiasco. The DNC primary should have informed everyone. Should have exposed the DNC to everyone. But you have Bernie Sanders, who was like, he's okay with it. If you don't succeed, try again. 3 times a charm. If Madam Secretary wants to run again, far be it from me to say, don't do it. Rick Scott, though, is handling it very well. Rick Scott is fighting. Bernie didn't fight. Rick Scott is fighting. So Hillary Clinton's lawyer, the same lawyer who outsourced the Steele dossier. Thank you, Greg H. The same lawyer who outsourced the Steele dossier. You have that lawyer predicting a Bill Nelson victory. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe because he's used to purchasing a Steele dossier was compiled allegedly by Russian sources. Stephen Gordy, thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen Gordy. Thank you. Julie, I didn't hear that. That's funny. Stephen Gordy. Thank you, Scott Fights. I like that he's not going to give up. You have a situation where it's like, this is supposed to be the United States of America. We're supposed to have a functioning democracy or a functioning republic or functioning elections. And instead of functioning elections, we have Broward County. And honestly, blame Bernie Sanders could have simply taken a stand. Patricia Moreno, McSally and Cox didn't fight. No, they didn't. And that's an example right there. A contest that possibly could have simply been an issue where McSally just legitimately lost. McSally might have legitimately lost. And Sinema could have legitimately won. But this is, I apologize for I have no idea. It's probably this computer updating again. I apologize for that. But you have a situation now, by the way. This was just new lawsuits may extend deadline as Broward finally begins process. So Florida, so this is just about an hour ago, 2 hours ago. Florida's recount of the midterm elections continue to unfold. This is Miami Herald. On Tuesday, with new plot twists and a nail-biter narrative, as Broward County's embattled election supervisor finally began recounting ballots and candidates filed new lawsuits. She was already deemed by a judge to have illegally destroyed ballots. How does this even work? Broward election supervisor Brenda Snipes, who announced last week she would not seek re-election when her term expires in 2020. She's there until 2020. Oh my God, what is with this? Brenda Snipes is there until 2020, ladies and gentlemen. Said her office began recounting more than 700 votes shortly before noon, while workers also sorted ballots for the 3 relevant statewide races. Though Broward started its recount 3 days after Miami-Dade began preparing to retally more than 800,000 ballots, Snipes said she was confident that her office will finish by 3 p.m. by Thursday's 3 p.m. deadline. Wow. So she has 700,000 ballots. 700,000, and the deadline is Thursday at 3 p.m. All right, Thursday at 3 p.m., ladies and gentlemen. Thursday at 3 p.m. And she's going to finish. She's going to finish, ladies and gentlemen. Counting ballots. You know. Because that's possible. That's possible, don't you know? That's very likely. So she's going to count. So Broward's going to count 700,000 ballots. In what, a day and a half? In a day and a half, 700,000. 700,000 ballots in a day and a half. Isn't that interesting? How is that even possible? How is that even possible? I don't get it. I'm telling you, I do not get it. Michelle Lamson. You were probably right about the House. Thank you, Michelle. It's hard to do analysis on the legal vote. Karl Rove and his whiteboard wouldn't be able to accomplish that either. Michelle, thank you so very much. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, for always watching and your support. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Shay, D's profoundly flaunt election fraud in our face. Pretty much. No fight equals paid off. We were sold off years ago. Now, yeah. Shay, I think that Rick Scott is fighting. I think he's going to win. Michelle, thank you so very much. As always, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. No Sickle J. Somehow we've normalized criminality in this country. Where's the where's the outrage? No, I know. The media, this is why I'm so worried about 2020. And I believe that Trump will win. I think Trump's going to win in 2020. Thank you again, Michelle Lamson. Thank you. Thank you. No Sickle J. Shay, thank you. The media is an extension, a literal extension. Are they coordinating recount? Possibly. A literal extension of the Democratic Party. A literal extension of the Democratic Party, and nobody cares. Alan Arias, very cool. Yeah. Alan, you did, I'm sure, great work. Tim Canova is a really great candidate, by the way. I'm no longer a progressive, but Tim Canova is a great candidate. He fights. He's an honorable man. He's intelligent. He possesses a great deal of wisdom. And why is my Charles Bronson photo? Okay, hold on one second. Okay. My Charles Bronson photo. The Scotch tape was. Oh, then I have. I'll deal with it later. Janis Joplin and Charles Bronson. The Scotch tape is coming off. Anyway, yeah, no, Tim Canova is actually a really good, a very good candidate. Very good candidate. I'm no longer on the left, but I mean, if Democrats see, that's the thing. Democrats don't like people like Tim Canova because he's not going to go ahead and he's not going to take one for the team. And notice that notice Bernie Sanders didn't back him. Isn't that interesting? He's a Bernie candidate. Tim Canova is a Bernie Sanders candidate. So, Papa D, simple question: at what point does tampering with the state election process rise to the level of federal crime? I believe it is a federal crime. I'm sure there's a federal statute that they're breaking also, not just state level crime. I'm sure it's also a federal crime. But Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and let's go and see this right here. Mhm. Let's see what the latest news is for Rick Scott. So Rick Scott is set to have been heading towards DC. Florida Rick Scott won't commit to certifying Senate recounts. Good. This is Vox. They're like, the recount was legally required. Okay. Well, yeah, the recount could have been legally required, but Broward County was also legally required to do a whole bunch of things. This is Vox, Republican Governor Rick Scott's senior campaign advisor, Brad Todd, repeatedly refused to commit to certifying the results of Florida's U.S. Senate election during CNN's interview Monday night and Tuesday morning if Scott ends up losing in a recount. Well, why would we trust Broward County? Democrats certainly would not if the tables were turned. You talk about having to make a decision. The governor has a decision to make. Chris Cuomo, is he going to do that, certify the results, or will he recuse himself because of his own conflict in this? What? Yeah, right. Has Bill Nelson recused himself? The governor respects the process. Bill Nelson's like, oh, good, Broward County, more votes for me. This is fantastic. The governor respects the process. He respects the law in Florida. Even if he loses, he's not going to lose unless they steal it from him. So they were saying today that it's basically a statistical impossibility for him to lose 57,000 votes in a recount. You'd have to just simply find extra votes. So he's not going to lose unless they steal it from him in court. The governor is going to be the senator. Todd was pressed about those comments hours later during an interview with CNN John Berman. He again refused to commit to Scott certifying. Why would Rick Scott certify election results when there's overt corruption in Broward County? Roosevelt Media, please bring back the bobbleheads. They were awesome. Thank you, Roosevelt. This computer, the camera is too high up, so you can't really see. You can't really see the. I do have my little Donnie here, but the camera's too high up. But I'll try to find a way eventually to get them back. The results of the recount won't be known until after it ends on Thursday. Todd's comments leave open the possibility that Nelson wins, but Scott has repeatedly insisted that he is the winner regardless of what happens with a recount. That's exactly the way he should react. Democrats still think that Trump is not a legitimate president. Don't you love Democrats when they say, well, the DNC primary, nobody cheated, even though Putin hacked the DNC to inform everyone that, oh, by the way, indeed, they were getting cheated. To inform everyone that Bernie Sanders was indeed cheated. And then they say, well, Russia cheated us by letting us know that we were cheating Bernie. Russia cheated us by informing Americans that we were cheating Bernie Sanders. That's essentially what took place. Scott has already shown a willingness to exploit his current office for political gain. Good. Because that's what Bill Nelson does. Of course, Bill Nelson's going to be happy that Broward County found 10 million votes and that the machines malfunctioned and that they were already deemed to have illegally destroyed ballots in the Tim Canova, Debbie Wasserman Schultz contest. During a news conference held from the governor's mansion last Thursday evening, Scott called for statewide enforcement agencies to investigate election officials in 2 Democratic-leaning counties. Well, why not? That took longer than others to tally their votes. Why did these counties suddenly take longer than others? And who is watching them? Why would you trust a Republican? Why are there no allegations of Republicans suddenly coming up with ballots that help them? Trump wins and it's because of Russia. But a judge actually rules that Brenda Snipes illegally destroyed ballots, and that's not a problem at all. That's like, oh well, just accept the ruling or the decision or the recount. No, why would you accept the recount? That's stupid. Don't accept the recount. This is the way you fight. Bernie should take note. I will not sit idly by while unethical liberals try to steal this election from the great people of Florida. Their goal is to keep mysteriously finding votes until the election turns out the way they want. Left-wing activists have been coming up with more and more ballots out of nowhere. Exactly. They don't even know where the ballot boxes are. Then they're like, well, do you have ironclad evidence? Because all we have are malfunctioning voting machines and people who tried to vote twice. That was also in the Tampa Bay Times. There's no evidence of voter fraud in Broward County, even though there's a heck of a lot of smoke. A lot of things leaning to overt fraud, which is what we saw in the DNC primary, but there's actually zero evidence. There is not even circumstantial evidence regarding Trump and Russia. Because what they do is they turn even the most benign things into like this like grandiose correlation. Manafort, he had an ostrich feather jacket. That means Trump Russia. Haven't you ever wondered why Manafort would wear an ostrich feather jacket? And you have BuzzFeed suing the DNC. You have BuzzFeed suing the DNC because of the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier is fantasy that Bill Clinton probably wrote because he probably likes that stuff. And that's it. That's it. That's all it is. And it was used for an investigation. Meanwhile, Rick Scott is doing exactly what Bernie should have done. And once I do believe Rick Scott eventually will win, because you have the federal government, you have the media, you have too much going on, and Rick Scott's not giving up. And Republicans will rally, and the president, the federal government will get involved. And that alone could lead to Hillary Clinton. That alone could lead definitely to Deborah Wasserman Schultz. If you say a disparaging word about Deborah Wasserman, believe you me, after 2 years, you will get bupkis. You will get 0 Medicare for all bills. Count them, 0. I will have done my duty as a Democratic loyalist. I got all the wonderful pundits to say that we'd have Medicare for all. We're not going to have anything for all. We're going to have cheating for all. There's a new bill that I'm going to help foster with Deborah Wasserman. It's called Cheating for All. It's the 2019 Cheating for All Democratic bill. We're going to cheat every single election, and no one's going to say a thing about it. Certainly not me. So, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? DNC primary, you have cheating. Tim Canova, W. Wasserman Schultz, you have cheating. Florida recount, you have what Rick Scott is stating is a statistical impossibility. And let's see. Then you have them trying to go after Matthew Whitaker. It's like anyone Exactly, but okay, Rick Scott has no proof, but there are malfunctioning voting machines in Broward County. There are ballot boxes found everywhere. People are actually calling in. They're saying, "Oh, by the way, there's a ballot box here. Do you want it?" And oh, conveniently, they're used as storage equipment, storage boxes for equipment. You have people who were turned away for trying to vote twice. But how many people weren't turned away, or how many people in total tried to vote twice? We have still to this day no knowledge of how many ballots were obtained after 7 p.m. on November 6th. And that's just a preliminary list of insanity from Broward County. So, of course, you don't have. This is the thing, is what always with Clinton, it's like they want absolute proof. Where's the proof of Trump Russia? And I have some wonderful people here who disagree with me. And there's actually, maybe two or three people that actually show up on the live chat and they disagree. And I actually makes me think, and they're respectful and awesome. Great. Disagree with me. Where's the proof of Trump Russia? There's not even smoke for the fire. I don't care if Manafort goes to Bijan in Beverly Hills and spends $20,000-$30,000 for a suit. What do I care? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It has nothing to do with Russia. You think that like Buff Bernie coloring book with his glistening body? It's true. They took a picture of me when I was shirtless. I had no shirt on, and my glistening body making people in Wisconsin vote for Trump. My body, my glistening body, in the Buff Bernie coloring book made people vote for Trump. And that's what Putin wanted you to think. I mean, it's like, Shay, HA, thank you for the motivation. You rock. God bless all listening, praying for Cali. Yeah, it's crazy in California. Thank you, Shay. I know people who had to evacuate. And Shay, yeah, it's so dry, and the fire just, the embers, the wind transports the embers everywhere. And Valor, thank you. And God bless the firefighters. Really, the firefighters are really amazing people everywhere. Firefighters everywhere around the world are just amazing people. They truly go where no the Star Trek, go where no man has gone before. They truly go where no man goes. Valor, HA, we need to catch up. Thank you, Valor. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. Glad to see you're doing well. Drama is crazy down here in Sunshine State. Valor, thank you so much. Actually, since we last spoke, I believe this is the same Valor that I used to know. I'm a big Second Amendment guy now. And I understand that you are as well. And yeah, I've changed. My value system has changed for the better. Thank you again, Valor. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you look at what's taking place in Rick Scott fights. Thank you again, Valor, for your support. Thank you, Shay. Thank you, Shay. Paul Wolfie. Bush 2000 gained with absentee ballots because most are from the military and it's conservative. Exactly. The infantry, 9 out of 10 conservative. Ballots from. Exactly, Paul. Exactly. So you get, what is it, like 2-1? They voted for Trump 2-1. So it's just Rick Scott fights. Rick Scott fights. Rick Scott fights. Bernie did not fight. Rumi Collis! HA, I'll pay you to stop with the mental pictures. Rumi, thank you for your support. Thank you for your support, Rumi. And you know what? I'm not even going to talk about Hillary in the Firefly stance. I won't go there because you're constantly just so supportive. And thank you, Rumi, as always. Thank you, Rumi, as always. And that's the thing, Rumi Callis. Thank you, Rumi. That's the thing. It never stops. It never stops. They're talking about Facebook ads. They're talking about Facebook ads. Meanwhile, ballot boxes are found everywhere. We have no idea in Broward County how many votes were taken in after 7 p.m. We have no idea. Rumi, thank you. I won't talk about Hillary. By the way, she's running and she's getting indicted, and she's going to run even with the indictments. Because you know what'll happen? This is what's going to happen. Matthew Whitaker is going to indict Clinton, and then she'll say no. And everybody will be like, "What do you mean no?" She's like, "No." They'll be like, "You're indicted on this, that, RICO, Espionage Act charges, da da da. You did this. We have the evidence." She'd be like, "No, no, 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 you're not." What do you mean, no, you're not? What do you mean, no, you're not? You are a citizen of this country. You will abide by laws. No. No, I won't. And the media will be like, "This is horrible. This is bad. It's not constitutional. He's going after a political enemy." Isn't that what you did? Isn't that what Obama did to Trump, going after a political enemy for no reason other than because Hillary didn't like him? No, you don't get it. You don't get it. She'll just be like, "Well, nah, nah. You're not actually going to indict. I'm going to tell you. You don't indict me. I'll indict you." What? What are you talking about, crazy person? No, I'm not indicted. You're indicted. Huh? And everyone will be like, "Yeah, CNN, like, can you believe what happened? He's gone overboard this time, Trump." I mean, that's like at this point right now, Rumi, thank you so very much. As always, thank you, Rumi. At this point right now, if Trump doesn't do his job and just goes to where the evidence takes him, Matthew Whitaker, he will never have a he will never have a moment in his life free of drama, because Clinton right now it's about, and Clinton's power and her structure of power, that safety net that she had, from James Comey to Clapper to Brennan to Strzok to Page to all, they're not there anymore. Someone tell Matthew Whitaker and Trump and Noel Francisco and all these people at the DOJ who love Trump. Somebody tell them that all that structure there is no longer there to protect Clinton. Rumi, thank you again. Agent Pepsi 1. Did you know that Obama barred military ballots from being counted in 2010, 12, and 14 because most of GOP? Trump must crack down on voter fraud. Agent Pepsi 1, I didn't know that. I have to look that up. Agent Pepsi, thank you. Agent Pepsi 1, thank you. So, and by the way, thank you so much, everybody, for dealing with my initial. I couldn't get it up on the computer. The live stream, couldn't get the live stream up. Let's see. Let's go on the Twitter. God bless Mrs. Christine Assange. I mean, what a great woman, what a great mother she is. Please help me save my son's life. My son, multi-award-winning journalist Julian Assange, being persecuted, detained, 8 years without charge, smeared, and currently, being, certain words on YouTube, I can't say, but for exposing high-level crimes and corruption, please send my urgent message ASAP below to activists. Thank you. So I just retweeted that. It's unbelievable. Trump needs to act quickly and decisively. Trump needs to act quickly and decisively. If he doesn't act quickly, if he doesn't act decisively, if he doesn't do what he needs to do, Clinton's not only going to get away with everything, but she's going to make his life miserable for the rest of his life and his family's life. Her tentacles will be all over the place. And he has a big family, so I mean, Trump should think of his family. Just go where the evidence takes him. Oh my God. So I am 100% against any person, and it's also against the law to dox anyone. I'm not really going to give the complete context because I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. But I've never associated myself with anyone who would dox anyone. And I think that's an illegal and criminal thing to do. And to my moderators, if anyone is doing that, they have to be kicked out of the chat. That goes without saying. Rumi Callis, thank you. Shay, HA, is Romney going to support Trump's agenda? I think when push comes to shove, he will. But the thing is, now we're going to have 2 years of just nonsense. 2 years of nonsense. Let me just respond because there's somebody who has made me aware of something. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. God bless. It's been what? About a little over an hour. Thank you. And I will be back in a little bit. To my super chat, thank you so very much. Rumi, thank you. Just found out someone on the live stream that I don't know at all. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but just finding out some information on Twitter. To my moderators, if you see any shenanigans, just Rumi, love you too. Thank you. Any shenanigans, just please, represent as always. I have the best moderators in all of YouTube for my live chats. Thank you so very much, everyone. God bless. I will see you very soon. Thank you again.